Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ali Brown Coaching Podcast. Today I am here with my good friend and someone who I have coached for countless years. I've forgotten at least 4, maybe 5. Ned, and I can't say his surname. I did once got laughed at. How you doing, Ned?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Ali?
I'm all right, thank you. Today is the first day that I've tested negative for COVID, so it is
Nice.
a good morning. How are you
Free,
doing?
free man once again. I'm doing
Yeah,
well. I'm doing well today. I'm off to work, and so I'm
yeah,
hoping
we're
to
doing
have a
it
nice
quite.
chat with you.
We're here quite early, aren't we? Well, we
Mm.
started chatting at 8:30 to get it in before your busy day because you have to fit so much in, don't you? But
Yeah, there's a few things aligned, especially after lunchtime. But yeah, there's always space for a chat.
you always manage to fit stuff in, which we'll talk about in a bit. But so no one's going to know. They're going to be like, who's Ned? Because I talk about Ned quite a bit, but no one's ever met Ned because Ned lives in Dublin, and everyone I speak to isn't in Dublin. So Ned, to everyone else who I've spoken to them about, is uh, a crazy guy who runs crazy distances for and in crazy times when he does it the first time. Never mind, never mind the second or third. So so you're doing like ultra marathons and absolutely madness, which we'll talk about in a bit. But I guess should we start at the start because we met in a weird way, didn't we?
Kind of, yeah. Was it like 4, 5 years ago, more or less?
Was it
Uh,
2019? It was 2019, wasn't it?
yeah, so it's 4-ish years ago. Yeah, it was half Ironman in Dunleary, and yeah, you were coming over, and then I know you had some difficulties with the strategic decisions of where to stay and whatnot. And then I remember somehow find you on Facebook and whatnot, and then we came in contact, and then you stayed with me in my place for a few days, and then I showed you a bit of town and all of that, and then you had your race in Dunleary, which was actually I think you did quite well on the day. And yeah, after that we kind of stayed in contact, and then you kind
Well,
of
it was
asked me, yeah.
in England, people aren't normally that friendly or accommodating of random strangers who just rock up. But you just sent me I put in a group. I think it was a group. It's coming back to me now on Facebook. Anyone got a floor I can sleep on for a night in Dublin because I'm doing this race? And you messaged me, goes, you can stay at the flat, no bother. And I was like, all right, are we going to get? So I'm turning up to this flat, wondering if I'm going to get murdered or kidnapped or something. and then you weren't actually there. It was your friend, wasn't it?
Josip, yeah.
Josip, who was lovely, and he goes, "Yeah, come in. Do you want any food? Do you want to do this, do that?" And I was like, "This is these are really nice people. That I'm. The culture is not just what I experience in England."
Yeah, I mean, obviously, even myself, I like going to some places, some races, and whatnot. You always like talk to people, crash on people's sofas, or you carpooling or whatnot. So it's kind of just give it in forward, I guess. So if people do it to me, I mean, there's no reason why not to do to someone else.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's always the tricky thing, like what kind of person is the person who is coming in, and luckily you were sound and cool, so everything went smooth. So
I'm a good actor.
yeah, there wasn't any difficulties or any kind of weird complaints or requests.
Ned, you must give me massage every morning.
Yeah, okay, mate. So
and then yeah, so we stayed in contact because you kind of you weren't sure if you wanted to get into triathlon, were you, at some point? But you were doing long distance running anyway.
yeah, and then I only had, I think, only one marathon in my legs, and at that time, and then you asked me if I was willing to work and see how it goes. If it goes well, if we can stick to it, it doesn't go well, we can just finish that and then stay friends. And then I was like, you know what, why not? So I had I think actually that year I had two marathons, kind of short time in between, like 7 8 weeks, something like that. And yeah, on the first one I went from like 3:23 to 3:03 in Croatia, in Zagreb. And funnily enough, on that day, I remember day before actually the Kipchoge did that like 1:59:40 in Vienna. I remember myself like telling to myself, and I wasn't even believing in it. It's like, oh my god, it would be incredible if I go sub 3, because it's like kind of marginal piece, And I wasn't brave enough to go fully for it, so I did like 3:03, and I was like, oh, it's okay, I'm getting there. And then I remember like 6 7 weeks after that in Ireland, in Cork, actually guilty, small local marathon with lots of hills. I managed to get to 56 or something like that. So yeah, working with you in space of like 2 3 months with two marathons, we took straight away like essentially half an hour. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stick with this lad for another while.
Hmm. Sorry, I just needed to cough that whole time. One sec. Yeah, and that was just from training on your own, doing your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Get into a sub 3.
Mm.
I can't remember when exactly I started. I know when I met you. I can't remember when we started coaching you.
It was quite a shortly after that. I think it was like
Shortly,
maybe
yeah.
like maybe like a month or so. So yeah, because I remember you approaching me like kind of being grateful for everything. So I
But
was
I
like, you know
just,
what?
oh yeah, I was like, I'll coach you for a bit if you want, because you like let me stay in your flat for like, it felt like a week or something,
Mm.
and you were so like accommodating and welcoming and didn't want anything from me. So I was like, well, the offer's there, we can do something,
Mm.
and and I just remember you being someone who has quite a busy life because you study a lot. Um, you work as well, and you have to be quite disciplined and planned out in how you spend your time, like just on a day-to-day basis. So everything's kind of military precisionally planned. So I noticed that, because that's kind of a rare trait. A lot of people kind of wouldn't be able to do what you do, because but I know that you're aware, like you study psychology, don't you?
Psychotherapy.
Psychotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
So like a bit different. But so it comes down to how we manage our
Mm-hmm.
brains, how
Mm-hmm.
we how disciplined we are, how we think. So like, so does that kind of help? Like, because that's not normal for most people.
No, it does definitely helps. Having that psychotherapeutic or psychological knowledge in the background definitely does help. And all comes through like essentially to very simple things, like like one of them would be hack the morning, like get up early enough. But obviously to get up early enough, go to sleep early enough, so get that proper sleep. Then once when you get up like early enough on time, you can like by 9 a.m. you can do like your long run, you can do breakfast, you can do this, you can like do so many things before work. Especially that time I was working from 10 a.m. For a long time, and I still am. And so by 10 a.m. you can do like so many things, like read, study, whatnot, do, and then go to work, finish at 6. You still have like 4 hours to do things before going to sleep. So yeah, get up early, time management. And also some days like I mean, you have to be military, so to say, but also you have to be very flexible, because if you're not, then you become rigid, and like everything becomes like I have to, I have to, I have to. But it's like, and then you lose that like joy of running or doing exercise. Like no, it's like no, you get to, like So it's a very important to be very strict, but also to be able to like, okay, time to reassess and then rejiggle things. So it's a very, very important to do that at the same time.
Mm. That's quite key. Is like not thinking like you have to do it, but you just
Mm,
think, oh no, I get to do this.
yeah.
So it's funny. I haven't mentioned this to you before, but like sometimes I do a similar thing. Whereas if I'm having a day where I'm struggling to get motivation, I kind of have a word with myself and just say, "Look, you're lucky that you can do this.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people would like do anything to be able to just get out and do what you can
Mm,
do." go for a run, swim, cycle, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So then you just then it just fuels you to go, yeah, I'm looking to be able to do it. So just go out and do it because you
Mm-hmm.
can do it rather than
Yeah.
see it like a chore.
Yeah. Definitely the that piece of just reminding oneself and be grateful, firstly to be able-bodied, to move freely, and walk and whatnot, and have enough cardiovascular system to do that such a things, I know, and then on top of that, be able to be in position that you can invest so much time and money and resources and all that. So there's so many things to be grateful for. And then if you start if you kind of even tap into that from time to time, it's quite different, and then you can just be more joyful, you can more enjoy it, not get lost in numbers and all of that. Obviously we all want to do it well, but it's not all about getting certain numbers, because I mean, if you're aiming to do let's say a sub-3 marathon, that's the ultimate goal. But the journey, the process of becoming and doing that, it's much more important than actual number itself. That
Yeah,
doing it day in and day out, and be patient with yourself, and having that delayed gratification and all of that, and then eventually once we do it, you're able to reflect all the step necessary to get you there. But if you haven't do that and you get a sub-3, you didn't get anything at the end, you only get the number. So that's a very important thing.
yeah. No, that's really key, and I guess a lot of marathon runners may be able to kind of see where you're coming from with that and relate to it, because you see so many who their head is so deeply in the numbers, and they put that pressure on themselves, don't they? Of on my long run, I have to meet this many miles running at target pace, or it's a failure. So they go out on the run scared they're going to fail, but that's the only feeling they have, rather than I'm just going to go and enjoy it, and whatever happens, and we're going to see what we can do, and everything's a possibility. But
No, definitely, and it is it's more prominent in half marathon racing, because obviously majority of people, it's always trying to shred the times, which it's a natural thing to do so, but obviously it's not the main thing, so. And then especially if you go for long run, if you just keep looking and watch and just maintain the pace, you're not being connected with the body, there's no mindfulness, you're not being connected with the experience itself, you're not being in the present moment, you're always thinking ahead, and then you're thinking what you're gonna write on Strava and all of that. It's no, you just here run, and that's why I also don't run with the music, I did podcasts before, but then I realized I'll be very disengaged from the actual experience of running. So just leave everything, just connect the experience. It can be very, not then that's in that sense, it can become even spiritual, exercise, meditation in motion. So you're just there, you're doing this one thing at a time, and right now you're just running and just look in front of yourself, look at everything, but not look at anything. Just be present. So yeah.
And I understand what you're saying there, because I have experienced that myself, and it's quite rare that it happens. So if you run with headphones on, you're never really that free, because your brain is occupied. But if you run with nothing and just try and be at one with your surroundings and just notice things to be there, you can then find that inner joy can be you can find that within you, and you can really start to really love the moment and be at one with the moment. I remember it once I was running on Malvern Hills, and I started crying because everything was just beautiful. I was running on this trail, there's no one else there, the sun was kind of just setting in, the light was amazing, the scenery was amazing. I was just I think I tapped into my inner, I was at one with myself, which is quite rare in these days. And it was just amazing. And that's where the joy really is, isn't it? In running. At the end of the day, we are animals, and we need to be in nature.
And that's a funny thing that happened to me also once. There's no point of avoiding it. For example, running, and then with the earphones, headphones, whatever. and like listen to music or podcast, whatever, and then battery went dead, and I start hating the run from that moment, and I was like, yo, like you can't not like hate run just because the earphones went dead. Like it's like not like you shouldn't be, or like oh, I don't like this song, I'm gonna skip it. Then you like once again you look in the phone, not being connected, or like or earphones, whatever. It's like so many different ways to not be with yourself, especially like when you have busy life, and like unfortunately there's this like religion per se of the busyness in the society right now. Everyone's like super busy, like there's like days are super loaded with everything. So maybe the running can just be like, okay, let's just leave everything, like drop everything, just run and be. And that's what helps me quite a lot. Like it's like joy, and also it's a moment of deloading and just letting everything go and just be the one with the experience.
Yeah, it's really. I think a lot of people listening would be able to kind of maybe like relate to this, especially with the thinking about what they're going to write on Strava. Some will be like, I know people who are like are too much involved with Strava, and that's what they'll be doing as soon as they start running or doing a slower than usual run, trying to run easy properly. I'll be like, oh, but what am I going to put on Strava? Because everyone's going to question it. And it's like,
Strava is a great tool. In fairness, I don't like as any more so to say like any app or even mobile phone itself. It's a tool, but then once again, it can go from tool to like being something that you're like essentially addicted to. It can be something very bad. So in that sense, Strava, like you can keep in contact with people. You can log your miles. You can keep track of like shoes or like progression. You can find maps or whatnot. There's so many great things to it, but the to be able to detach and not to be like Strava athlete, like keep like that pace quick all time because it's on Strava, like that's a tricky thing. And I think everyone falls into the trap first 2-3 months or so when they get it, because it's like you're trying to show yourself or prove yourself or whatnot. But eventually, like what's the point of this? Why, why would you be doing that? It's very unnecessary. Like keeping the heart rate too high or keep running too fast. It's like, and then on a race day, like I feel tired. Obviously, because you like look at your Strava, mate. So
yeah, you're trying to push, you're trying to prove
yeah,
something on your Strava. And it's like, and it's interesting because the way we spoke about it, being at one with yourself, being at one with surroundings, it kind of, and not being led by the numbers. Do you feel that the effort, the training by effort system we have of going easy, moderate, medium, mad, how do you feel that fitted in with, or fits in with your training?
fits in quite well, especially once when I like a long time ago now when I make that like very peaceful decision. I was like like use the Strava as a tool. Forget the bases, forget average speed or whatnot. Just like you're doing something different. You have like main goal and just keep moving towards that. And that effort thing is like it makes sense because especially when you start connecting with the body and you have like certain mindfulness when you're running. You're like okay, I mean kind of I would be playing a game like trying to guess the heart rate, and I wouldn't be like very far off from it, to be honest. It would be a couple of beats, a maximum 5 beats per minute, and then also the build up to like Connemara 100 mile, like it was all like, okay, just run, keep the heart rate low, keep the effort low, and therefore the heart rate will be low. And that happened every single time. And then there were comments like, from certain colleagues or mates, like, like, you run slow majority of the time, like, what's the story with your pace? I'm like, I'm doing something different here. And then eventually came in the best possible way, like, where even I outdo myself and possibilities, what I ever thought I can do. So yeah, like definitely efforts are good, and then keep them high efforts for very little, like like a little of weekly mileage, and keep them like low efforts much more. Just enjoy it, and then keep that aerobic field wide.
Yeah, because I think I remember we went through that process of really slowing down the slow, and which I'm like I'm an absolute broken record, but everyone I speak to is like slow down, slow down, slow. And then, but in practice, did you then notice that how slowing down the slow allowed you to kind of give more quality efforts when they did come.
Yeah, especially when you give me like double Monanghetti for breakfast. I'm like, yeah, double Monanghetti for breakfast. Yeah, that's some organic breakfast there. And then because obviously on Monday I was running easy, like like super easy, and just enjoy myself and whatnot. On Tuesday you come there, like legs are fresh. You had a good sleep. Especially if I know there's something big. And the night before I go like a little bit earlier to sleep, I have like proper like dinner and whatnot. And then like Tuesday morning I'm sharp and ready. But if I didn't do that, like days before that, I would be like sluggish. And then the problem is like when you're running like that, especially when I get this set or stuff like that, then you have to run quite fast and like really like be at point. If you feel tired, like you're not fluid, like the arms are swinging all over the place, the legs, and then like you just like the gait is like so broken, and obviously that affects firstly like how you feel doing it, and also you kind of like making the very wrong muscle memory, so body will remember it, and then body will go back to it once you're running fast, and that's also very bad because you're training yourself to do something on the wrong way. So
Yeah, you're teaching. Yeah, you could teach yourself poor form.
yeah,
So then that becomes normal. That's massive when we come to swimming. That's why we don't.
yeah.
We do lots of shorter
We'll
repetitions.
get there eventually.
Eventually, yeah. But yeah, like when people do, because the others, some people listening, like will know what Monaghetti is as well. It's like if you're not feeling it or you haven't prepared well for it, tone down the efforts so that they do stay natural, so that you can still hold that some kind of form there, and you don't have to be going at 90% of effort. It can be like it could be today. All I can do is 70% without feeling like I'm trying to force it and feeling like an absolute idiot. So let's just stick it at that. But no,
yeah, even with I forgot author's name in book Running Canyons. He wrote about that, how the main difference between like so to say West and kind of like African way of running is that on the days when they feel like tired and it doesn't go, like even if it's like speed session day, if they really don't feel for that, they will still run, but they'll run easy and just get that like mileage. And there's no point of breaking myself for that one like speed session. But if you for example, if you're doing like 3-4 months block for like marathon, ultramarathon, so let's say you're looking 16 weeks, in 16 weeks you're going to do at least 16 speed session, if not 30 32, like let's say 2 per week, so to say. Like if you miss one and do other 30 or 31, you didn't miss much, but then if you're trying to overdo another one on top of that, or trying to catch up from the last one, then you're like on higher risk of injury. So like that one speed session, like will not be like, oh my god, like whole training block is gonna go awful because of this one run. Like, no, that doesn't happen that often, I would say. So, and yeah, sometimes if it really doesn't go, just go out there and like jog, shuffle, enjoy it. If you can't run, go for cycle, like do a bit of stretching or something. But yeah, it's my thing, like keep consistency, like but myself, I don't feel like really for that. I'll go run an easier pace. I'll do it half efforts, and that's it. So
that's a good way of giving the perspective, isn't it? So like you're doing 32 of these sessions. If you miss one, even two, even three of them, it's not going to make a difference at all.
Because you did like 90% of them. So
yeah. Look how many you did do, and they were quality when you were feeling good. So you broke 3 hours for the marathon, and then where did you go from there?
Well, we did, yeah, it was that, and then I started doing longer stuff, I think.
You were like, Ali, I'm going to do just because it's New Year's Day or something. I'm just going to do some 100K just because.
Yeah, that so-called traditional existential runs, So on the first day of the year, like I did still have it. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do this year because like I went very long this year. So I would do it would be at that time would be the longest run ever. So that year I did 60-70K through the mountains of Dublin from where I live to the Glendalough. with a couple of thousand meters of altitude. It was just like a long, easy run, just be on my feet, met my friend, went for like kind of late lunch, dinner at the end, and so it was a great day. And then we kind of moved a little bit into trail stuff, and then the first year was 46K Wicklow Trail. Great day, great results, overall placing and everything. And then that year I was thinking to do actually 50 miler straight away, but then you told me like, would you rather do 46K like, properly and then postpone 50 mile to next year and then do 50 miler properly? And I was like, you know what, I'll trust the man. And that happened. So yeah, back to back 46K, and then year after 50 miler, both years 5th place, like stellar performance, it was just incredible days. And then from 50 miler, we went to kind of this year was like loaded too. So it was 70K New Year's Eve on the track, and then it was 100K Croatia in March, and then it was 100 mile 12 weeks ago, 100 mile Connemara, and then 24 hours 2.5 weeks ago, 2 weeks
so
ago.
It's incredible. So like the progression you've made in even the last 1 year, from doing, say, I don't 50 miles last year, which we put off because I thought that was we might be better in the long term if we put that off a little bit. And then you go right straight to and then and then you keep going up and up, like one after the other into the 100 miles, and so that's your first 100 miles, and I'm just like, yeah, just go, just do it, just experience it, it's fine. And then you're up there with the leaders, keeping up with the pace, going, I feel grand, I'm all right, I'm gonna carry. And then you end up doing it in some crazy ass time, and it's like not many people can do that. I mean, how much of that do you think is down to your mindset, and how much of it is like what you've been, what physically gifted with, and what you've worked on physically?
Yeah, it's I would say it's a twofold, but it's like much more fold thing. Like there's a many aspect to it. So first of all, thank you for such a nice words. Yeah, this year was like kind of like, okay, let's see what I can do, like and I mean obviously going in like first 100K this year, first 100 mile, first 24 hours. There's so many feelings, but you kind of you want to be aware of them, but you wanna get lost in them, like excitement, anxiety, fear, like gratefulness. It's all there, so. The training definitely helped, like that, managing the training load and being able to work that and not try to deliver day in day out. It would be the wrong approach. So that helped, and working with you definitely was one of the main keys. And then the just being patient, just reminding yourself like, okay, you're just doing this thing, for just delay any possible gratification. Just have that focus, like try to do as best as you can, and in quote as much as you can, with the least impact on the body. So, and that's why I'm lucky enough. I work in the running shop, the Run Hub. So my colleagues are great to me, and then we have showering facilities in shops and all of that. So it was literally commute home and back, and that's where I got like 85% of my mileage for all 3 races. And just like easy work, like you run to work, shower, this and that, work, easy shuffle back home, and you're clocking in like 20, 30, 40, 50 kilometers, depending what's the training plan for the day. And yeah, and just work well, But yeah, be patient and be consistent. I would say that's one of the 2 main things.
Yeah, and there's it's interesting how so many things in society these days are trying to encourage people not to be patient. So you're kind of fighting against everything else, aren't you, in a way, which takes a lot of mental strength.
No, definitely, and also with Connemara, just coming in there, feeling good in the morning, feeling very good, the load was great, and 2 weeks prior to the race, and the friends who were there, just keep reminding myself, like being grateful for where I am, and grateful for all the people I have in my life, like, from yourself to the colleagues in work to the friends in Mexico, like, they're also athletes, so like talking with them about many different things, and then like, fellow runners here, like, they, like, everyone shared a bit of wisdom, so like, I was well able to be there.
Mm.
And I said it to a few people, and it was that surreal moment, where, like, because you dedicate yourself to a certain moment of life, to be there, like, to do well. And on the morning of the Connemara, I remember like talking to one of the OGs, Ante. I asked him, I was like, oh, Ante, like, like, what's the story, like, like, what do you think, like, who's gonna deliver today? And then he looked at me. He said, "Oh, it's gonna be you or Steven or Gary." And I remember being there, like, what you mean me? Like, 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 and it was the first time, like, because like you work so long, and you just like, that delayed gratification is like a very important thing for me. So you just keep forgetting, like, not even, you're there. You're gonna do the best. You're gonna, like, go
Mm.
patiently. You're gonna go strong and everything. And in your mind frame, there's a different thing I want to do on the day and everything. So just like, I'm doing that. No matter what happens, I'm doing this thing. And this is it.
Mm.
Like, so even if it's gonna place me first, or it's gonna place me 15th, I don't care. I'm just doing this thing. And yeah, it was amazing. And just like, things went well. Crew was in point. The day was great. It was like rainy and windy, which is better than being like, really hot. So yeah, and then time came and result came. So I was like over the moon.
You're kind of, it's good because you're kind of keeping that ego side in check, aren't you? Because you could so easily start to go, oh yeah, I know I'm quite good, I can do quite good at this, but then that starts to take over all the other bits of just doing it, of completing the run, enjoying it, doing the best you can, just doing what you do every
Mm-hmm.
day. That mindset, like, everyone's got ego, um, but then it's like, how much do you have, and how much can you control it, and how would you let it affect you on your day-to-day basis? It can turn you into a complete arsehole, or you can have, everyone's got a bit of it, and it could be really helpful if you manage it in the right way. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really helpful, like, to hear you say that, because a lot of people listening to that will kind of can learn from that, because you are quick, you are fast, and you can still do, well, you're on the upwards journey still. You
Mm.
you can still keep getting so much better, but you don't let that enter your head and start, you definitely don't strike me as someone who starts thinking that they're, oh, I'm really good now, I can,
Mm.
I've entered the next echelons of the sports now, I am this, I'm that. You're just so grounded all the time, and humble with it.
You have to be. You just personally, I think, kind of like, so you have to be, because like these kind of races, like, they either break you or they make you. And like, like, once when they break you, they really, like, they break you to the point of like ontological insecurity, like not even question, who are you, like, what am I, and whatnot. So it's very important, to be, especially, with ultra race, you have to be, like, respectful of the distance and of the race, and also from the field, like, because when you come on the like 100K 100-mile race, like, some people will do it first, some people will do it like, God knows what time, some people will be like chasing national records or whatnot, and everyone is there for a reason. And then you can never judge anyone, like, it's like, if they're doing first or 15th and they're there, and they're willing to try, and
And do their
sometimes even, like,
best.
yeah, and they do the best at that time. And same thing, like, as we said, they're like, like, what's gonna happen this time next year? Who knows? It all once again comes to me, and how I'm gonna deal with the training, what I'm gonna do, and whatnot. So, and like, what's the point of getting the good race or good time, or good placement on rankings, or whatnot, if you're not enjoying it, and if you just, you make it all about yourself? Because, like, ultra running, there's so many days where you have to go out by yourself and run, and long runs and whatnot. But it is team sport, because once when you go on an event, on a race, like, you have your crew, and crew at least has two people, if not more.
Mm.
And then you have, like, all these, even I remember, like, reflecting on this year, like, so many times my colleagues would change the day with me, and that day would literally have, like, huge knock-on positive effect on the following weeks. and then like for the race day, like prep, like kind of prep race day, like and so many things. So there's so many different things that comes into the place, and then you realize like, okay, this is not just me, like and then. But I'm here. I obviously have to give a big shout to my ex-manager Caroline and present manager Steph. Like God bless them. How many times I had to change the roster just to accommodate my races and all that. And that's also like and then like you have to be grateful. You have to be like grounded, like and then give thanks to people who deserve thanks. Because I just can't make it all about myself. I think that would be like the worst thing to do it.
And it's interesting. I like because I've experienced this by doing long distance running as well. It's kind of different to triathlon. Is that you said about being a team, and when you're in the event itself, the other competitors kind of end up kind of being a team because you work together. You kind of you help each other. You get to a certain point, and it's kind of honest. There isn't that bitter, rivalry between you and competitiveness. It's kind of just left to what, whoever's got the best legs has got the best legs today, and so be it. We're always going to do our best. We're all going to be nice to each other. We're all going to support each other because it's hard what we're doing. And then whoever does the best, then good for you. You deserve it. Which and I love that aspect of, especially when you like ultramarathon running, even marathon running sometimes. I think a lot of other sports can learn a lot from that, to keep that that enjoyment. It keeps it healthy, doesn't it? Because it could so easily it could so easily swing the other way.
And especially like for example, like the last race there, I call it experience more than race, because I just want to experience like 24 hours on a track, like after 15, 16, 17, 18 hours of like running like loops and like on 400-meter track, like you kind of like holding on to anything or
I'll be
everything,
crying.
But at the same time, you don't want to hold anything. But then just seemed remarkable, like because for such a long time there was a few of us within 1 mile. So like if you take too long break, you're like you go in the lower rankings, But then after like 18, 19 hours, like regardless, like you still want to push each other, like because obviously by pushing that person, you're pushing yourself, because you always want to be kind of around them. But then, like, even when the person was kind of like about to give up, you don't want the person to give up. It's not even more about, like, who's going to be faster or like going to be like third or fourth. It's about, no, like, keep going, like, because, like, some of the psychological literature said, like, once when you feel like very, very tired, apparently you're only halfway through your efforts. But, like, there's so much more that you can push if you're just willing to be in that space of just like feeling that it's strong, it's hard, I suffer, it's painful, but it's like that's why we're here. I just enjoy that too. So you just want to keep pushing people, because by pushing them you push yourself. And especially in ultra running community, like all those narcissistic small differences that they fall away, like kind of like where you're from, ethnicity or religion or whatnot, like everything kind of crumbles away, and you're just dealing with with the person.
You've got a level playing field, haven't you? Everything's just equal.
And that's it, So like, and then prior to races, like, the people will share like, wisdom, and like, like, especially if it's like kind of like, rude, people say like, oh yeah, go a little bit harder here, slower here, because this or that. And then, and I just, you share so much with people just to make like, like, okay, and then let the best man win at the end of the day. So.
Yeah. No, it's kind of, I like that. We need more of that in the world today, don't we?
No, definitely. Definitely.
So I don't even think people asking are probably like, right, this is interesting. So we don't focus on the numbers, but by not focusing so much on the numbers, you have achieved great numbers. So your marathon was what, like 240 something now?
Still be around 250-ish, because I haven't done many of them since then. I did do like lots of them in a training session, especially for last year when I was doing the first 64K on the road Connemara also.
Yeah.
So I was doing good few back to back, and they were like all sub 3 hours, even on training session. But yeah, I might revisit the marathon distance sometime next year, like maybe April, summer.
Like you could start the next training block up with a marathon, and then go,
True.
right, let's see what juice we've got for this.
True. Like try, like kind of like train for it, but not go too crazy about it because it's not the main focus,
Yeah, yeah.
And but still get a solid time, and then build it from there. But definitely would like to get it like
And then
to have two. Like my ideal plan is to have 2:38, and the reason being is me and Scott Jurek have the same PB because he's one of my favorite ultra runners and human beings out there.
yeah. I remember watching that documentary on him. Is he the guy that ran that massive trail in the States?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
huge, and he's is he the vegan guy as well?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
because Ned is vegan too. I don't think nobody haven't spoken about that. As he fist pumps
Vegan
the air.
power. Vegan power.
And then so you're already like super fast at the marathon. You could get faster. We just went longer. And your very first 100 miles was just absolutely insane. It was like 14 hours 45, but which is like to do that. So your first time doing that distance, a lot of people kind of are doing a distance for the first time. So whether it be Ironman or marathon or whatever. But so how did you approach going into that, your first 700 miles? And then what do you think made it easier to then also get such like a strong performance out of it, when normally the advice kind of is, it's your first one, just go, just experience it, don't worry at all about times, anything, just go and suck it, like suck the experience in and just see. And then and then once you've got that under your belt, then you can, if you wanted to get a time, you could be more competitive like next time and kind of put an aim for it. So how did that process go for you? Because you just kind of did it all in one. Like you got a hole in one.
First of all, like I'm a firm believer, like like for example, so many people I can hear that work in a shop and engage with the people in a few different ways. Like especially coming prepared, like I'm so scared, and my always question is like, how was your training block? Did you train well? If you train well, like you might be feel afraid or whatnot. If your training block is well done and you you follow what you have to do, regardless of feeling whatever you're feeling, you're gonna still be able to do well. And I remember coming to Connemara the day before, like I was reflecting with my thoughts and on a piece of paper, like no, the training block was amazing. You did incredible mileage, like everything was like low impact, you aerobic field is great, heart rate is there, and and was just very everything to that moment was amazing. And then having friends there, obviously the talking with you, and you also texted me night before to do well, which is also a nice thing. I always find that it's very nice thing when someone actually remembers. It's not just like you're not only just athlete, person actually there's a bit of more to it. And then in the morning hearing that I can do well, I was like, okay, embrace that too, you've been working for that. And then when we start, I just went literally to the pace. I was training myself and to stay in the effort, and then that reflected in the heart rate zone. So the speed was there, and then Steve, really, really nice guy who won on the day. He broke the record, and he's a really, really nice guy. He just went, and I remember, I was like, okay, no, just let him, respect the distance, man. Probably he's doing something different than you, and just that's okay. And then myself and Gary, he's also a fellow ultra runner. He has a great CV. He was second, and I was like third. And then just stay there. Speed is there, the heart rate is there, the efforts are there, and I just stay with that. And then eventually, things change, and Gary fell back, and then I felt in the second place, and it was like that for the next 100 miles essentially. Just stay there, stay the efforts. Eventually, I kind of I did slow down a little bit because I was still respecting distance and nothing too heroic. Definitely there was a bit of fear also of the distance because you can't comprehend that distance, and you don't know what's going to happen. So just remind myself you're doing this, and that this is the plan, and then also my crew was amazing on the day. I only had to run essentially, nothing else, and things were going so well. Even my main crew my crew member Ambarish, who had the splits and everything. He told me that, because I was going well faster, and I actually did finish the faster than I actually was expecting, like literally hour plus. Halfway through, he told me like, are you aware that you're like essentially like, like 70, 80 minutes ahead of your planned time? And I was like, yeah, I'm aware of it, but like I don't feel the like mileage yet, and I'm just enjoying it. And it was a beautiful day, in Irish term, beautiful day,
Yeah.
rainy and
Rain
windy,
is beautiful in Ireland.
and open landscapes. And yeah, Connemara is just absolutely stunning part of the universe. So I was just mesmerized by the nature, and sheeps wherever on the road. And yeah, it was just one of those days I just surrender, and I was like, okay, surrender to experience, wu wei, stay in the float, just like, do that thing. Where it's gonna bring you, that's okay. And I remember like after 150-ish kilometers, I remember Gianluca, another crew member, he was running with me, and I asked him, I was like, can you look, is there anyone behind me? And he was like, oh, Ned, don't worry about that. There's no one, because part of me was like, okay, like, what if person comes, now, and we have to do a sprint finish, am I going to be able to do it? Part of me wanted to do that. Part of me really didn't want to do that. But yeah, eventually it was a good. So there was a huge, not huge, it was a certain gap between myself and at the end, Paul Tworney, who's a great friend of mine now, being extremely helpful for a 24-hour race. He finished third. So yeah, it was a really, really, really nice experience. But yeah, that wasn't the plan. It was just a different plan, and just all came together in the day.
That's brilliant. Yeah, what are the chances of having a sprint finish over over that distance? You're very unlucky.
Yeah. And then the sprint finish, but then once you finish the race, they actually get full 100 miles. You have to do like little 3 loops in the city center.
Oh, so, to get the 100. I would not be doing that.
I was like, I really don't want to do a sprint finish on the third loop, or like after 159-ish kilometers. So, yeah, that didn't happen. So.
That's brilliant. So I guess a normal person, no offense, would go and do let's do a few more hundreds now. But but what do you want to do next? What did your after that race, when you sat down? What was your next motivation? What was the first thing you kind of thinking about?
So the thing with me is kind of it's like very important, like who you surround yourself in the life, because it's very, very important, because like wanting or not wanting, you're becoming little like that people, so
Yeah.
even the Connemara, I just said it in front of my friends Ambarish and Gianluca that I was thinking to do it. It wasn't no concrete plan, nothing. Just I was like, I am thinking to do that. It's very important. Like, it's very good race. Blah blah blah. I never went that far. It would be very fun. I remember, one day I was just home doing some academic work, and then I got a text from friend Ambarish, who literally texted me like, "Hi Ned, if you wanna go to Connemara, myself, Gianluca, and Alex gonna go with you. We're gonna crew you. Only thing you have to do is run." And I remember looking text. I was like, "Mate, it's all served. Just say yes, and that's it." And that happened. And then throughout the training block, I was watching documentaries, reading and whatnot. It's very important to get educated on many different things. Obviously, the Scott Jurek would be one of them. I don't know, Killian Jornet would be another person. Harvey Lewis, I love that guy. He's a incredible ultra runner. He commutes his whole life and gets all mileage like that. And then from I was looking at what Courtney De Walter she's doing. It's just getting all those 3 races, the trail 100 miles, the first person ever to win all 3 of them. And then I was looking now the last week, Camille Herron, what she did in Spartathlon, just incredible. And I was like, okay, how are these people able to do this? And I was like, okay, I want to push myself a little bit further, way deeper where I am. And then idea came, Sri Chinmoy 24-hour Transcendence track race in London. And Ambarish and Gianluca are members of Sri Chinmoy Center here in Dublin. And talking with them, I said, you know what, I'll do Connemara, and then just to fully transcend myself, I'm going to do 24 hours in London, which was a couple of weeks there. So it was 7 weeks after the 100-mile race.
Which was, that must have felt hard.
Yeah, because it's such a hard thing. I was reading much to it prior to that, and talking. Even the Harvey Lewis, he actually messaged me back on Instagram about a few things. So it was just incredible. Like, being such a successful person, still able to stay grounded, which is incredible experience. And then the idea was like, okay, how I'm gonna recover fast, how I'm gonna get the mileage in, how I'm gonna do the tapering for 24 hours in 7 weeks time. So obviously you were very mindful of that too, and then the training plan was accommodated to that. And then yeah, it was just like kind of very very low impact, and was like I think the greater impact, greater emphasis was on the recovery than actually getting the mileage because the
Hmm.
endurance was there already.
Hmm.
And yeah, I remember I'm always being honest with myself on the day the race, like because the race started midday, which is a very unusual thing for me to start a race at that time. I was in the start line. I said to myself, like, okay, you're not feeling as fresh as you are in Connemara, which is a natural thing. It can be different, because obviously the body is a little bit tired. However, just move, and then usually, like, on ultra races, even if you don't feel the greatest, once when you start moving, things kind of like fall, the wheels
Yeah.
get, warm and whatnot, so and then things start moving more swiftly. So yeah, and then yeah, the 24 hours just it's different thing altogether. Like just it's so simple and so hard because it's like no matter what happens, you always there like 400-meter lap. You're always like a few minutes away from your crew, but no, that's the easiest part. But the hard part is like you're running on the track for 24 hours. It's like two things simultaneous. Like it's like so easy, but it's so hard. So
Mm.
yeah.
It's a great challenge, isn't it? And
Mm.
and you also had to miss the last few hours, didn't you? Because you had to get back to work. So you would have done a bit more than you did. What did you do? I wrote it down. It was
It was
204 kilometers in 24
yeah.
hours, running round
Mm.
a 400-meter athletics track in London. That is mad.
Yeah, I mean, it was once again, people helped me in many different ways to be there. Like even after 6 hours, the stomach can just hold so many gels and everything. And I think my fueling strategy wasn't the best because obviously once again it's a little different approach of doing 24 hours than like marathon because it's so different bodies using different things on different way.
Hmm.
So that wasn't the best plan, but once again, I'm doing it for first time ever. You need to get the first one and
Well,
to
mate,
to
just
experience
just to
it.
get what 510 laps done of a track.
Yeah, yeah, and then see what's the story about, and then yeah, and after 6 hours, I had like lots of trouble with the stomach. Luckily, like the
Mm,
Gianluca and some gingery drink help, and then
yeah.
went well. And like first 12 hours, I did like solid 122-ish kilometers.
Hmm.
I was well aware I won't be able to do that in next 12 hours. And then the after 100 miler, like, my knee got jammed. So I had to go to medical tent and physio and whatnot. And then there was like lots of trying to fix things up on the go. And then going back on the track was recommended not to run. I was like, okay, I'll walk, and then it was shuffling, power walking, and whatnot. But then eventually just became pure walk. Just this knee
Mm.
wasn't having it, and yeah, and then we calculated splits how fast I have to walk to knock on solid 200 kilometers, and yeah, and that happened eventually. So yeah, if if things went differently, like obviously we can't think on that way, the mileage would be also different. But yeah, for the first 24 hours, I'm very happy just to have that experience
Mm.
with the best possible people, with the best possible crew. So and then
Hmm.
I'll take all the wisdom from it and just definitely do more core and stability, strengthen up my legs, and then still try to work out my nutrition of the day.
Yeah, yeah, it's a big thing.
Mm.
Um, do you think there's kind of a synergy between the ultramarathon running and what you do in psychotherapy? Is there like a big link between the two? Like, do you learn? Does what you do in the running help you in the psychotherapy, or does it vice versa? How do they link to each other?
Mm. They definitely do, and one of the things I say to myself and to some people I talk, it's not even what you do; it's how you do it. So, like let's say running, like some people make it chore, like just another thing to do, like from the list, like, they each day, like they just cross, running done. From some people can be like, the just the physical aspect. Some people can be like, like weight management. Some people can be like, no matter what is it, that's okay. Everyone has their own ways of running, but I try to be more mindful, like how I do things than more what I do. So in that regard, the running does, pushing myself further, like that distance or speed or whatnot or thresholds helps me to translate that, also to keep myself like, still open and out of the comfort zone academically and also clinically in the client work, or academically in the college, and also with the life, with the people, with the friends. Because, like it would be impossible to develop, not impossible, it can happen, to develop so much in one aspect of self, like let's say athletic self, and that doesn't seep into like, academic self or the social self. Because if you, like, it was so much progress, you just have to allow that to seep into the other aspect of life. And yeah, just, commit to it, and just stay patient, stay disciplined, and accept everything what comes, and just work with it and then go from there.
That's really interesting. So obviously, there's a lot of things that you've gained from doing sport. What are the what are the main attributes or things that you've learned or skills that you've got from sport, which which you don't think, well, you might not otherwise have if you didn't do the ultramarathon running?
One thing is definitely the patience. Patience is the key with everything. Patience is the key with the life in general, with like anything and everything. And recently, I listened the Rick Roll podcast. I forgot who was his person on that episode. But he said, like, we overestimate what we can do in 1 year, and then we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. That's very important. Like, okay, so to say 1 year plan and 10 years plan. However, once again, psychological flexibility is paramount. So, like, whatever you planned, things can and will change along the way, and that's normal, because once we outgrow certain things, we change them. So having an idea where you're heading and still be able to change things, it's very, very important. So and that's where the patience kick in once again. Like, just stay patient yourself, stay consistent. And what I realized with myself, and also working academically, clinically, how you communicate things to yourself, because, it's very easy to become like, this punitive person to oneself, because you missed the training, or this didn't go well, or you didn't get a PB. But then it's like, okay, talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend about it. And then if you're able to do that, then, like, this harshness or this psychological whipping of oneself is gonna stop. And then, like, okay, let's go back to this, with a different mindset, with a different perspective. What worked, what didn't work, okay, let's try to reassess it and then implement the next one. And just like that, and then, but delayed gratification is also a big thing. You just have to be able to, like, postpone that gratification, just keep pushing it further and further and further. So
That's huge, isn't it? Because the way society is set up, it's like they're trying to eradicate delayed gratification. Everything is designed to keep you in the moment, giving your brain the endorphins it wants right there and then. All the apps on your phone, the way TV shows are made. Look at how social media is now. So it's kind of like you kind of have to fight against most things that are around you, don't you? How do you manage that?
the thing is, for example, like, talking now about more about the running aspect, would be the Strava, like making that huge step away from Strava. Like, okay, I still use it, it's there, but it's like, okay, like, I use Strava doesn't use me. So in that sense, like, I'll do what sometimes, like, I'll do funny caption, like, or whatnot, it's like, mindfully done, but it's not like, for example, if I run slow, be like, oh, there's like, has to be some kind of, like, so to say, excuse, like hidden excuse in a title why the pace is like 5:30. Like, no, if pace is 5:30 or 6 minutes, it's like, it's there for a reason. Like, you did that, and just be okay with it. Like, you don't have to excuse
You
yourself
don't
to
have to
anyone.
explain yourself, do you?
And that's the thing, you have a training plan, you're doing your own thing, and that's it. And but then, if you look like so many of great athletes, they don't even have Strava whatsoever. So it just shows like it's like what you use, you should be in command of that, and not that of you. Um, that's the one thing, and also the sharing everything everywhere straight away. I found that it's not the best thing. Once again, everyone to their own. I'm just talking from my own personal experience. And then even with the results, it's okay. You're good as your last race, so you might be, doing well today. Next time you might do DNF, so you never know. So just, be grateful and humble about it, and go from there. So, but yeah, it's very, very important to keep that, just a little bit outside, delayed.
Yeah, no, I like that, and communicating well with yourself as well. That's a big thing, because it's so important to be honest with yourself. And I read in a book about looking at yourself in the mirror and having the accountability mirror, and be like, just don't hold anything back. Just have complete honesty, because so many times I think people can continually lie to themselves, and then that becomes their reality, and then they never end up dealing with their their problems or their issues or the thing that needs to be dealt with. Whereas sport kind of puts us in that honest mode because it's challenging. So you kind of have no option but to be honest with yourself then, do you?
Yeah, that's in the Connemara, sometimes some thoughts that just come by themselves, as all they do, we don't control them. And one of the mantras was just stay with it, amor fati. And amor fati is in love with one's own fate, so it's just whatever comes, just accept it. Because especially when you're running the event, no matter it's marathon or ultra, whatever, if you're trying to avoid the trouble that that you're facing, then you're just setting up yourself for a failure. So if you're feeling that you're way too deep too early in a race, then you have to face that and back it off a little bit. And then if you can, go back at it in the last 20-30% of the race. Or same thing, if you have some stomach issues, you can't ignore it. You have to be okay, something's not wrong here. What can I do to reassess and then go for it? And then that kind of way of being and operating, you can translate that and also in all aspects of your life. So for example, you're not happy with the current friends relationship or a romantic relationship of okay, I have to face it, what is not good here, regardless the friends or with the partner, or also for example in work, in the work-life balance, or academically or social, I think I'm not happy or I'm not satisfied with the life. Okay, what is missing? Kind of face it. Okay, you want to get more education, then go for it. If you want to get better position job, apply for it. So, and then it's always realizing what is it, facing it, and then okay, what can I do about it? And good own thing, control the controllables. You just control the efforts, and then results statistically they might come. Once again, they're not promised either. So that's another thing that you have to make a peace. Even if you have incredible training block that doesn't translate, you're gonna get it for sure. Chances are much greater. However, nothing's not promised.
Yeah, nothing's ever expected. Well, it's bad to go into things expecting things to happen. It's just a possibility. I've done everything I can control to try and make this a possibility, but something might happen outside of my control, and then it doesn't happen. So you've got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
But no, it's really.
You might be traveling to the race, and you might do an incredible training block. You might travel to the race, which happened to a good few people this summer on a few different races. You might come to the airport and then the flight get cancelled. So
it's oh no.
But then, yeah, and it's a big oh no. But then it's okay, are you still grateful for the whole training block and everything what you did, regardless of not being able to do the race? It might be the best race of your life, might be the breakout race, so to say, might be the race going to win it or whatnot. But then it's still be able to be grateful for the whole training block, for all the days of work, all the emotional and physical and psychological changes and resilience that comes with the running. So yeah, it's very easy to not lose it out of sight.
And it's so common to go straight into a more negative point of way of thinking after that, and that's where when we talk about mindset and developing mindset and personal development, this is a great example of what that is, because a lot of people kind of, the terms get bandied around, but what does it actually mean? Well, how you react, how you would react initially to something like what you just said. Would it be negative, or would it be, you know what, I had a brilliant training block, I know I'm still really fit, something happened outside of my control, can't do anything about it, so just accept it. What can I do now? And
No, definitely.
rather than,
And especially, especially in the running, the muscle memory is there. Obviously, sometimes, because of injury, you have to take 2 weeks. Sometimes you have to take 2 months. Sometimes even longer a break. But then, the endurance is there.
you haven't
muscle
lost
memory is there.
all that training you've done. It's like disappeared.
It's literally like cleaning the dust off the shelf, so to say. Obviously you have to work a little bit to get where you stop, but then you're gonna be there very quickly. On even if you just start slowly, build up gradually, you're gonna be there quite quickly. Maximum 4 to 6 weeks, you're gonna be back in some quite well shape, so to say, and then go from there. So and then personally, even myself with the recovery time, or now this couple of weeks, running way less, you invest yourself in different things. You can do different sport. You can do engage yourself into reading, go to theater, go to galleries, and just develop yourself in other aspects, because it's a great thing to be great at something, but also you don't want to end up one-dimensional, because life is not one-dimensional. There's so many aspects to the life, and it's a very very easy to end up it's all about running. Running is this. Running is the best. Everything else sucks. And it's no, running is best for you. For someone can be swimming. For someone can be table tennis. For someone can be rollerblading, whatever it is. Respect it.
It's like you're seeing the silver linings. I'm not training much because I'm recovering, but I can do all this other stuff now that I don't normally get to do, and I love that. The problem is, and I see this a little bit, is people define themselves as a runner. I am a runner, and there's a bit of a danger when you start to put those labels on yourselves, like I am this, I am that, I am this. No, you are a human being who likes to run. Don't try not to tie yourself down by saying I am a runner, because then you start believing that all I do is run. I'm a runner. And you can go down that route and then you do become, as you say, that one-dimensional, don't you? I've noticed that a little bit. It's try not to, don't put those boundaries on yourself. Don't tie yourself down. Just go, you are you. You're you, and you like to run. Don't kind of, don't cut off every other possibility just because I'm in this clan now. I've decided I'm going to join this religion, and that's it. I think people do that. I think people can do that subconsciously as well.
Definitely, because once when you label yourself, or you put yourself into a certain bracket or group, there's also some sense of attachment and security. I belong to that, therefore, I'm more valuable, I'm more worth, I'm more loved, or whatnot, But then the thing is just enjoy it, be part of it. That's okay, and but the things with that one-dimensional aspect, then if you just look in life through one possible perspective, you can't understand yourself, you can't understand the relationship that you're in, you can't understand the life or what's happening in life. So it's not even about just bracketing yourself and limiting yourself to one sport. It's also about living the life, understanding the life, and then understanding yourself, changing yourself, and all of that. So it can be quite slippery slope.
No, I love it. Ned, I could talk all day about this kind of stuff, but I reckon
that's nice.
I reckon now's a good time to start wrapping things up, and then we could. The plan is to do more podcasts and have people back on and stuff, and we can then carry on the conversation. So as we wrap up, I guess where do you want to just tell us what's next for you? What's coming next on the horizon?
What's next on the horizon? I think I'm gonna finalize the year with the ultra events for this year. I think there was a possibility of doing another race in November, but body just gave the signals to slow down, and it's been definitely unimaginable year so far. So I'm gonna keep it that way. I don't wanna destroy it or degrade it or even degrade myself. And so to say, like, it's better to do like one race. And that's once again where your advice was great, like choose like, like less races, but do them well. There's no point of like trying to do one race each week. So in that regard, I think this year is done, and then next year will be planned, like kind of probably hack solid 12-hour like in the first half of the year, like do that well, and then the next second part of the year, like something maybe 24-hour race or maybe some race in that duration or something like that. So, but yeah, I'll keep my mind open to everything, because I found recently I wrote in January this year the races I'm gonna do this year. I did none of them.
Doesn't work, does it?
Just, like just the experience after across the years with Anta and Anne and Alistair and John, all these incredible people which I'm grateful for to have in my life. Like after that was just like huge turning point. I was like no, like turn the page. Like you can do different things and you should do different things, so to say. And then the plan just changed, and so it's so funny. I was looking at that a few days ago. I was like, okay, so yeah, there's a couple of ideas, but then I'll keep myself open to everything. So, and also like I just enjoy the running. Just run for the joy of running, and then go from there.
Yeah, no, that sounds brilliant. Well, it's like, yeah, I consider myself lucky to like have stumbled across you in 2019. And yeah,
same here. Definitely quite lucky to have you in my corner.
Yeah, I know. I've learned a lot from you. We're kind of on the same mindset in a way. We understand each other, and when we have these discussions about those deep discussions that most people will be like, "What are you on about?" Like,
that's the thing. That's probably one of the main things a part of being a great coach is like I'm still in touch and working with you, because obviously it's like there's so much to it. Like it's just not a be like, okay, you do this, send me the feedback, and then that's it. There's like more to it, and then the part of just that the coach trainee relation. There's also like real friendship, existential relationship there, and that's definitely another great thing, because like once again, I don't want to be one dimensional, and even in this regard. So like just it's a good thing to have.
Yeah, same. No, I relate to that a lot, and I'll when I post this, for people watching, you can see pictures of Ned. You'll be able to see pictures of Ned on the Instagram, and it gets shared to Facebook of him doing his 24-hour track events and smiling all the way, looking fresh, not looking tired.
What else you can do? What else you can do? Like because it's like once again, even in those races, like you just have to. It's hard sometimes. You just have to remind yourself, like grateful to be here, grateful to
enjoy
do that,
the moment.
Yes, so much has to be invested into it, and then like whatever happens, just go from there. Like it's not what happens; it's once again what you make out of it. Like sometimes the greatest tragedies can become the greatest moment of heroism. So also in this regard, like it's like it's not what happened, regardless of the bad race, the DNF or whatever happens. It's what you make out of it. So you can always bounce back and. For example, Courtney DeWalter, like she's a great example of that. From DNFing one race a couple of years ago, and then now 2-3 years later, like it's the greatest probably ultra runner ever. Like what she did in the last couple of years. So
yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's all good. Well, I'll keep on chatting to you, but we'll say bye there. Thank you very much, Ned. And,
thank you for your time, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk. And this is my first time ever to being engaged in any kind of podcast, so definitely experience in itself. And
that's brilliant.
Thank you for your trust for putting me here.
No worries. Cheers, Ned. Thank you very much.
I'll talk to you later. Bye.
See ya.